Hey, Algebra 2, this is Unit 2, Lesson 3, and we were doing some rational exponents. So rational exponents just means exponents whose powers are fractions. And so that's what we're looking at. Can you write square and cube roots as exponents? And yeah, we can. So really, it's just a new notation. That's a new thing. So for some classes I was in, some classes I wasn't. And so here's what I'd like I gave a lot of supports for those who I wasn't. I hope that you watched the Khan Academy video. That was pretty straightforward and did this little bit of practice here. And then for the classwork, I asked you to do 3.2, skip 3.2, but do 3.1, 3.3, and 3.4 in the packet. And so, yeah, those problems in the packet, where are they? They looked like this. So, yeah, let's see. We had a little warm-up problem of like this. Find the solution for each one. And so, yeah, x squared is 25. So what number, when you square it's 25, that'd be 5. What number when you square it would be 7? Well, that'd be the root of 7. What number when you take when you cube it is 8? That'd be 2. What number when you cube it would be 19? Well, it would be the cube root of 19. We get some decimal answers for number 2 and for number 4. I asked you to skip that graph a bit and jump to some of these problems where it's like, hey, what does this mean? So using the rules for exponents, actually, I did put pictures of this for that class of like, okay, so these right here, we'll go to full screen. We got the answers and then we also got the questions. So using exponent rules, what does this mean? So this means the half root, so the half power of 25 is the same as this little number. This 2 is an index number. That is the number that would be outside the root symbol. So a traditional square root, the square root of 25, which would be 5. And then this means find the square root of 15, whatever that is. That's going to be a little less than 4 because the square root of 16 is 4. So, but square root of 15 is fine enough. What is the third? This 1/3, 8 to the 1/3 power, it means the third root of 8, which would be 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then, that last one would be the cube root of 3. That's it. That's what we're doing, is we're learning how to rewrite these expressions that have fractional powers. That's the new part. Have fractions of half or a third, and rewrite them as roots. Now, here's the one new little thing, is that sometimes you could have a negative out in front of that fraction. What does that mean? Well, it means that you would be doing the square root or the cube root, but that it would be in fraction form. So it gets a little complicated here. It gets a little bit ugly here. So this is the square root of 7, but under a 1. So since it's under a 1, that means it's going to be the negative power of 1. And since it's a square root, it's going to be the one with a fraction. So here are all the answers. Go ahead and take a look at those. You can pause the screen if you want to take a look at those in more detail. But let's jump to the homework. The homework for lesson 3, the practice problems I asked you to do, 1 through 5 again. Oh boy, that was looking a little weird. And so this first, we got the answers here, but each one of these we're saying, well, what is this equal to? The top row is radical, and the bottom row is just regular old numbers. So 64 to the first power is 64. 64 to the 0 power is 1. Those are the easy ones. 64 to the 1/2 power. That means what number times itself is 64? And that would be 8. That's right there. Now, if the answer was a 4, 64, we've seen these past few days, is also 4 times 4 times 4. So the cube root of 64, writing it like this with a 1/3 power, because they wanted you to, on the top, they didn't want you to write the cube root of 64. They wanted you to write it with a power now. Okay. And yeah, then we've got this 1/8. Well, here's the thing. In the table, 1/8 and 8 are mirror each other. So the powers are going to be the same powers, but since 1 is under the fraction, 1 is the denominator in the fraction, we have 1 over this. That means, just like this, we just toss a negative on that power. And 1/64 is like this, 64 to the first power, but we would toss a negative out in front of it. This one we should be familiar with, but this is the new one. Okay, problem number 2. Suppose that a friend missed class. Yeah, so yeah, this is a way that you could express it to them. Yeah, and I'm not going to go crazy over that one. Let's look at number 3. Which expression is equivalent to 16 to the 1/2 power? Remember, a 1/2 power means that we are going to be doing our root of this. The root of 16, the square root of 16, which is what times what number times itself equals 16, which would be 4. And select all the, this is now review, select all the expressions equivalent to 4 to the 10th power. Well, okay, here you would add the powers, 5 and 2, you would not get 10, oh, excuse me, 2 to the 20th power. Now that's interesting. If you write this out, that's going to be 22s. All of those 2s, you could pair up each of those 2s and have half as many, 10 of them, paired up and be factors of 4. So that one is equivalent. That's a little harder to see. C, I would hope, letter C, I'd hope that you'd see that these powers add 10, and that one's correct. D, these powers do not add to 10. They add to 4. And here, let's see, 4, and we subtract the power of a negative 6. That's tricky. So when you do 4 minus a negative 6, it actually adds the 6 to the 4 as a positive number and becomes 4 to the 10th power. So that's a tricky one. All right, here. Number 5, not going to go crazy over this. This is that idea of like, hey, now we've got volume here. What would the edge length be? So the relationship is that you're taking the edge length and multiplying it by itself 3 times, 3 times, and 3 times. So this would just be 100 since it's the cube root. You have the side length root. And then these other ones, if you know the number, like 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Yep, that one would go there. But if you don't know the number, you can just write the cube root of 85 would be the side length, the root of that cube. And the cube root of 125 is actually a nice number. It's 5 times 5 times 5. So that is this is a perfect cube, and so is 64 is a perfect cube. Okay, that was it. That was all I asked you to do for homework. Hope that made sense. Remember, the learning target for today was, do you understand what it means to have a fraction like a power that is a fraction like 1/2 or 1/3, or even some of those that are like a negative 1/2 or a negative 1/3. Those also result in fractional answers because the negative ends up making it a fraction or a rational number. All right, folks, take care.